I've been using the DJI Air 3S professionally every day for about a month now. And as someone who's been using the Mavic 3 Pro for almost 2 years, I'm going to tell you guys if I think it's worth the extra $2,000 at these current prices less than 2 months before the DJI US ban. So let's start with the why. Why did I buy the Air 3S if I already owned the Mavic 3 Pro? Well, a few reasons. Obviously, we don't know what the availability of anything will be in the coming months, but there is a big size difference between the two of these, and one is much more convenient to use on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes I'm doing several commercial flights per day, and so I wanted to see if the small sacrifice in size and price would give me a noticeable difference on a day-to-day basis of shooting mostly real estate and other commercial business projects. And I've never used a drone this small before. And as someone who's been flying professionally for almost 10 years, this has been, it really just been a lot of fun to get used to. And I made a video recently explaining why I picked the Air 3S over the Mini 4 and even the Mini 5 Pro based on the current availability and pricing that's out there right now. And as of right now, we do have a little bit more availability countrywide than we did, say, 2 or 3 months ago, but we're still at about $500 cheaper than the Air 3S for the Mini series. And I personally just think that the Air 3S is a better drone for professional use. It's more versatile. It's got better performance in most situations, and it's just better overall drone in my opinion. And so I'm still using the Mavic 3 Pro a few times a week on shoots where I need that little extra boost in image quality, but on a day-to-day basis, the Air 3S has been more than enough for me. So I'll tell you the things that I like and the things that I don't like, and then we can go from there. Number one, I think you'll all agree with me, the price. This is almost half the price of the Mavic 3 Pro right now. And I think for a lot of people who are using this for professional work, we want to see how quickly we can get a return on our investment with similar quality. So say, for example, you make $500 a week with your drone. With the Air 3S at $2,000, you can get a return on your investment in about a month, which that's not bad. And like I said, in my last video, I've used this to make anywhere between $3,000 to $4,000 since I got it about a month ago. Now, on the other hand, the Mavic 3 Pro would take you about 2 months of shooting to get your money back, a full month extra. And I think for most people, that's a big difference, especially when you think of it from a business standpoint, which is the better investment and which is the better use of your money, the business's money, something to think about. Number two, I love the video quality. And even at 4K 60 frames per second compared to 5K 50 on the Mavic 3 Pro, they're extremely close, and I just love the colors and dynamic range on this thing, and it's exceptionally sharp. And in perfect lighting, they're just so close. As it starts to get darker, the larger sensor on the 3 Pro really stands out, but if you're in good lighting, you're just not going to notice a major difference. Then we've got the controller, and this comes with the new RC2, which gives you a stronger signal. It has the antennas, and it comes with the 04 transmission, which is much better than the 03. So signal-wise, I would say that the Air 3S honestly has the edge there as well. And the 3X telephoto camera, which is at 70 millimeters. And I actually think it's better on the 3S. So first of all, it's 4K 60 instead of 4K 30 on the Mavic 3 Pro, and it's a 2.8 lens compared to a 3.4. And I think it's just higher quality overall. It's sharper, there's less noise, and it just looks better to me. And I've noticed that the 70 millimeter lens in photo mode compared to video mode, the video mode almost looks sharper. And I don't think it's actually sharper, but it just feels sometimes like when I look at it, it looks sharper than the still photos that are taken with this. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. The vertical video mode. I really don't care that it's only 2.7K and not 4K. Having the ability to natively shoot vertical video on the Air 3S is just such a nice feature to have. And I use it all the time for either Instagram stories or for clips for Instagram reels. Being able to fit a full frame and not have to crop, super, super nice to have. When it comes to portability, I've taken this thing hiking. It's so much smaller, and it makes it a lot easier to justify bringing it with you when you have a bunch of stuff already. Like I said, this is the smallest drone that I've ever used, so it really does make a big difference in my opinion. Now, some things that I don't think are as good, and you can decide if you think that they're worth it for you. First, there's no DJI log. There's DJI log M, which for some people might not be a huge deal. The battery life, I know they're advertised to be pretty similar, but in real world usage, I just feel like the Air 3S battery, it just doesn't last that long when you compare them. And don't get me wrong, it's still really solid, and you can definitely do multiple flights on a single battery charge. But when you fly this for a week and then you fly the Mavic 3 Pro, it almost feels like double the length sometimes. You'll get all of your shots in 10 to 15 minutes and then look down and you're like, wow, I still have 75% left on this battery. This one's just not even close. The battery is so much better on the Mavic 3 Pro. Even though they're advertised to be very similar, this has the edge. Now, when it comes to photography, this is the biggest complaint that I have about this drone. The photos are just soft. And I think that's why I say this is a videography first drone. This is more of an all-arounder. The video quality is so close to the Mavic 3 Pro, but the photos, they're soft. And even in the shadows at ISO 100, in perfect lighting, there's noise in the shadows, and it's not noticeable to most people. But to me, coming from the Mavic lineup for 7 years now, the photos are probably like a 5 out of 10 compared to the larger drones. And this is the biggest difference to me. Let's compare the photos of this house from this past weekend in perfect blue skies, perfect lighting, taken on the Air 3S, and then compare them to the Mavic 3 Pro at higher ISOs, really, really dark, low light scenarios, low shutter speed. And you add all these together, and you're usually going to find that it's just not going to be as sharp. And instead, I think these twilight photos from the Mavic 3 Pro are actually so much sharper than the ones taken in perfect lighting, which is kind of shocking to see almost. I was really surprised by this, but honestly, from the first time I used this drone, the photos were just going to be a lot softer. I noticed that immediately, and the video was going to be really close. And a month later, that's definitely still the case, but it's not a deal breaker. This is definitely a much better photography drone though. And lastly, night mode. I do a lot of twilight shoots for luxury listings, and not having night mode and having to rely on just normal low light capability, really not a fan of this. Night mode is super useful, especially in those really dark situations, although this does do a really good job in the low light situations. I think I bumped it up to 800, maybe 1600, and I still got a pretty usable image. So overall, again, not the biggest deal in the world, but if you do use it in these types of situations, you're going to notice the difference for sure. So overall, I've been really happy with this drone for professional use after a month. And honestly, compared to the 3 Pro at double the price, this thing is awesome. The video quality is basically just as good, better even when you take the telephoto lens into account, because I think the telephoto is a better camera. And then you have vertical mode, the new controller, and the transmission system. These are all upgrades, which is crazy to say because you almost never get that in a smaller model. But low light, battery life, and most importantly of all, photo quality really make these both really important parts of my toolkit. And I can use the Air 3S for daily, a majority of shoots. And when I need those few upgrades that the 3 Pro gives you, I use that instead. So really between the two, you just can't go wrong. And I absolutely recommend both. If you're just getting started, unless you're making really good money with these, the Air 3S will be plenty, and you're going to be really happy with it, I think, especially at half the price. Like I said, what is that return on investment look like for you? If you guys have any questions about how you can get started making money with yours, leave them below and I'll get back to as many of them as possible. That's going to do it for this video. Subscribe if you haven't yet. I hope you guys learned something. My name's Devin and I run a creative agency in New England, and I post videos just like this one every week. I'll see you guys in the next one.